Right, welcome to the second episode of the Patreon Challenger series. And today with us we have the previous challenger and also moderator Emerson J. Lardy. Welcome.
Hello, hello.
And our challenger of today is Devin Russell, the first one who has pledged more than $5 to our cause and is of Planeswalker status. Devin, welcome.
Hello, guys.
So today you brought an old deck from an old standard that's between Teros and Khans, right?
Yeah, so it's the first Cons set. So it's just right after
Yeah.
Cons released that standard period. It was when I first started to play more competitively. I went to my first qualifier tournament, and this deck is very similar to what I brought. I honestly had to build it from memory, but
Yeah, but
every time I think of a deck to build, it's like Mardu Aggro. Let's play this.
Yeah.
It's just been in my memory. So I was like, this is the deck I wanted to play for this.
yeah, and this was a deck you built yourself, right? The first deck that you actually didn't.
Yeah, it was the first deck that I didn't net deck, and it's probably the only one that I've played in paper that I never net decked. I have a hard time building decks, but this one really works. And in fact, this deck did become popular at some point, but I've been playing it for a while, and I played a mirror against a guy who's semi-professional, kind of known. The same season, he went onto like almost making the Players Championship for the CG circuit, and we played in a mirror. And my first GIQ, and I ended up beating him 2-0 in a Mardu Aggro match with this deck, and him and his team was complimenting me on like how good my deck looked, and I told him I didn't even look up deck lists for this. I kind of just kept playing games and building it. So
That's kind of nice. So it's pretty obvious how your deck wins usually. I think that's probably just by beating the opponent down. But what are some of the cards? What are some of the cards that you really want to see in a game?
Yeah, so Butcher the Horde, and then Sorin, because Sorin can make flyers, or it can just make all my tokens and stuff bigger and lifelink. But I really want to see Butcher. Like that's how I finish games if they have any ways to slow my early game down.
Right. Yeah.
But I also like Crackling Doom is very good at breaking out blockers too.
And how do you think your matchup versus aggro is? Because the first match will be against Emerson J. Lardy, and he'll be using a Jeskai aggro build. How do you think your matchup is against that?
Okay, so if I remember correctly, because I have my sideboard was better against it, but I
Excuse
didn't
me
have time
for
to
a
build
second.
that today.
Well, I just lost audio on you guys.
I can hear you.
Excuse me about that. My father just came home, so yeah, and well, I didn't really hear the last part because I was talking to my father. But
Oh,
this,
okay.
yeah.
You
So
kind of just stopped talking, and everyone did. So yeah, I don't have a sideboard today because I couldn't remember what was in it, and I didn't have time to build because I was having computer troubles for the last couple days.
This was kind of an episode that was rigged with technical problems and organized.
Yeah, so me and Will spent the last an hour and a half last night trying to fix it, and I ended up just stealing someone else's computer that I used to play with a while ago.
Yeah. And because you also went to GP Minneapolis somewhere this week or last week, right? How did you do that?
So that even made it kind of like trying to. I never had time to fix it, and it also sucked because my X-Mage had been working all week, so I kind of had to play with the sideboard that I'd built a week ago prior to the.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then
day two, but
you haven't really had the chance to test it out. That's not exactly the ideal situation to go into a GP with, but
No, yeah. But anyway, so your question was against like aggro decks?
yes, against
Yeah, like
Um,
Jeskai aggro.
Yes, they're not the easiest, but again, Butcher the Horde and Soren are very good. If you can get those down with a few creatures, the life gain lets you kind of propel yourself
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
plays
that
really well with like Butcher and like Goblin Master because you're just sacking every turn. You just sack your Goblin that you would get to give your Butcher lifelink, and then it's just a 10-point swing, and it's very easy to race that.
yeah
And this deck does have a decent amount of removal. It has Murderous Cuts,
that does
or
look like
Stoke the Flames.
does look like a good game plan to actually turn the race into something that's very good for you. Right, then I think without further ado, we can try to set up a game. Emerson, if you would like to set up a game in either Modern or Legacy with a password. Because we're on Google Works right now, as it was a bit,
Yeah.
because of technical difficulties.
See what I can do here. I'll just do freeform. Password's gonna be 1234
Yeah.
because I am not original.
Yeah.
There we are. Alright, it should be popping up here in just a sec. And I am playing the Pro Tour list of, I'm totally going to butcher this, but I think it's Andre Strosky.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. I think I know what list you're talking about.
It was, pretty standard Jeskai aggro list. Some burns, some good efficient creatures.
Yep.
A couple removal
Yeah, if I remember
spells.
correct, he was actually using that deck list is very similar to what was being played on the SCG circuit that won a couple like the week before. It was kind of the deck to beat.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Yeah, I know that there was another list that that actually won the Pro Tour that year, but I missed. I liked this list just a little bit better.
I can't remember what won it.
is the game already up or?
Yes. My username is Flunge Monkey, so you can look for that. It's a freeform game.
Oh, freeform game. That's probably why I haven't.
This hand is.
Yes. Okay. So
Actually,
Flunge
is this-
versus Nanaboat. Right. I'll request permission to see hand card so we can show it to the players.
You got it.
Oh wait, so they can see my hand.
Yeah. How did the deck actually do for you during the time that you played it? Did you win any big events with it, or was that match against the?
So I was like I said, I was very new to it, so I didn't do any thing good. But I won a lot of like FNMs and stuff, and I had a lot of fun with it. I think I definitely was doing better with this deck than I was previously with the mono red deck I was playing before.
Yeah, I think
no, I didn't have any success with it.
I think winning FNMs when you've just begun is already quite an accomplishment.
Yeah,
definitely. I started just playing FMNs just before M15 when the Boss Slide deck came out.
Yeah.
Can you see my hand?
No, I can't really see anything right now.
Well, I have 4. Okay, I'm just gonna mulligan this hand then.
Yeah, now I can see your hand. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm also mulliganing. I have 1 land and can't cast any of my spells.
Okay, so right now I can only see Emerson's hand.
Do you see the switch hands button?
Yeah, like I clicked on the switch hands and it only says Flunge
Oh, okay.
Monkey. Not sure whether
Watch
how
mine.
it's possible to change.
I don't know if I can keep this.
Probably it's because you haven't decided where to keep it yet. That's probably why
Oh,
I can't
okay.
see it. But we'll probably be
That
able to switch soon enough.
My hand's very medium.
Yeah.
It's pretty land heavy, but I think it's a keep.
So you did say like you were doubting whether you should keep it or not, and I do think I see the reason why it was somewhat
yeah.
of
So
a
if I draw a land, or two lands in the next couple turns, this hand just is really strong. But if I don't, then I'm just stuck on one land and I can't do anything.
yeah, and I do think that because you did scry, but you were on play, so personally I would have said not to keep the hand.
It's a very questionable keep. I probably shouldn't have kept it.
But I totally do get the sentiment behind keeping it. Because
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
I am missing a color, but I do have a decent start.
yeah, I think actually with that one land, you can start propelling yourself into mid game, where you can probably draw another couple of lands, perhaps get that third color, and then this is actually looking quite good for you as it is.
Yeah, especially since I can play this at any time, and I don't necessarily need to be aggressive at this point.
I see your seeker, and I'm going to
This
raise
is
you a seeker.
it's somewhat of an interesting game where both players have access to a lifelink prowess guy.
Yeah, and it is now you're like any spell trades in combat. I loved having a bunch of prowess creatures in standard. It was really interesting.
Yeah,
Every
it makes
spell is
combat very difficult to navigate.
Yeah, this is not like a usual aggro matchup as you have in the current standards, where it's like if you have mono red versus mono red, it's really a race. But here, lifelink completely changes the aspect of a lot of aggro decks.
Definitely.
So
Yeah, not the best of draws for.
but I could just sit back and kind of hold out for a while until I can get my next two lands to play my big demon.
Yeah.
That can just take over the games very quickly, or I can try to be aggressive and just hope I draw my lands. And I think that's what I'm going to do. And why am I doing this in my draw step? I have no idea.
Well, it doesn't really matter where you play during your draw step or your first main, because you want that prowess trigger anyway. Get that lifelink hit in, gain some life that you lost from the battlefield forge.
Yeah, I just realized I was still my draw step.
Yeah, but that's something that sometimes happens in X-Mage, where I like try to combo off in my draw step because I didn't realize it was my draw step.
Yeah.
And probably a better play that I didn't think about is just attack and see if he is baited into blocking, which wouldn't happen because I think he knows that I had something because I said so. But
yeah, but even so,
even not knowing what's in your hand, I think that blocking there is probably a bad idea.
Yeah, and we do.
Yeah, there's like lightning strikes and a lot of
literal any spell would have blown me out. So,
but that is definitely the correct play.
Yeah,
though wouldn't have done it.
That's quite an interesting.
I drew an interesting one here.
Yeah.
Which I actually think I like, as I've seen that you missed a land drop here.
Oh yes, that is quite a nasty punisher for missing land drops, and
I might go ahead and get in.
Take that.
Now Jeskai Charm with the first note, putting probably Seeker or Seeker on the top for that.
Oh, that is
punishing. Mana is assured to not draw another land next turn. and it also will force Devin to actually take another damage because of the missing actual white mana, because of Battlefield Forge being for damage.
Yeah.
So that was somewhat of the most bastards best play that I think your deck could have done at this point.
Right. Like one of my favorite creatures
Oh, I know, I love this card.
back in the day.
Yeah.
And I think I do offer the trade here. I think that it benefits me whether you take the damage or whether you...
Yeah, it's interesting whether you want to actually keep back Secret Away, because probably you wouldn't want to risk the possibility of just running into a spell, so you wouldn't want to block. But at
Yeah,
this,
so it's very hard to like trade with Seekers in combat. So I think, if I remember correctly, I always did when I had the opportunity. Just because it can be so weird. Because if you have a steady stream of spells, I don't. The life gain, I can't race you, so I have to just take this opportunity to get rid of it.
yeah, and I think at this point it's basically just taking the conservative route here, because you're down on lands. You probably won't be able to commit too much to the board, and
If I draw a black source, this is really good for me. But
that
if I
does.
don't,
I'll get a temple post combat, try to set up my next draw.
The temples really were also great lands in the
Oh, yeah.
era.
I think I'm gonna bottom this. Great.
there we go.
We've got a black source here, but that is going to cost
And
life
it's
as well.
untapped. I think I just take this opportunity to get some damage in.
Yep. Of course, it deals much damage to yourself because of your lands. But
Yes.
the Mantis Rider dies, and you can swing in with the warriors. So right now the board state is looking fairly good for you.
I'm just gonna run another one of these out there.
Mantis Rider being both a good attacker and a great way to stop small creatures coming in.
Definitely.
Right, somewhat of an interesting draw.
I just have to cast it.
Yeah.
No.
It could set up for a potential race here. Goblin Realm Master representing quite a lot of damage. It's also interesting whether you want to actually swing in with Gleam now, or... Because I think I would have actually swung in with the other two warriors.
That is a very good point, because I can't block, and I'm going to lose a creature anyway.
Yeah, so it's better to get in the 2 points of damage. The warrior
Yeah.
doesn't really have relevant stuff like in your deck or something, so it doesn't really matter whether
There
you've got
definitely
goblins.
isn't. I mean, there is a bunch of goblin tokens in this deck. You play Hordling Outburst and stuff, but
Yeah, exactly, but that's like... You probably get more from a goblin than you'd get from a warrior, so...
true. It's very true.
Now that Mantis Rider is becoming quite irritating with flying.
Yeah, I definitely need to find a blocker or at least force him to trade with it.
And I think after this attack, I'm just going to pass the turn. Now I'm missing land drops.
You are missing land drops, but on the other hand, your hand is quite
This deck
good at
carves
this
out at
point.
like 3 or 4.
I think if you get one more mana, you are set for game, but this is somewhat of a nasty.
Yeah, so I think I'm fine if I draw out my land next turn, but I think the plan is just to force as much damage this turn and hope to draw that land.
Yeah, I think in the aggressive route here is probably the best one.
Oh, wow.
The funny thing about two Rebel Masters is that they force the other
They
Rebel
force
Masters
each other
attack.
to attack, yeah.
I didn't even realize
So there's definitely lots of instances where I'm like, Rabble Master, go to combat, play another Rabble Master, and then just plan on and then have like a removal spell in my hand to kill their
Yeah.
biggest creature. But the following turn.
Now, I think at this point, the lightning strike has to hit here on the Rebel Master just to prevent as much damage as possible. Since the rate is kind of good.
That is really, really brutal for me.
Yeah, right.
So now
right now,
I have no hope now. I have to hit that land or I'm dead.
at most you can do 2 damage here. Won't be any.
But at the same time, he also could have just lightning striked my face, and I would have been dead.
Oh, that's true. I didn't even think about that.
I didn't think about that as well. Like, well, that's actually good because I would have just killed me.
But as I see, we know the hand of Plunge Monkey here, and we already see a burn spell in his hand that can also deal damage.
The Jeskai Charm.
It is a Stoke the Flame.
Yep.
Oh,
Which would have also, if you had more lands, it would have burned your Butcher of the Horde likely. So it was really a good spell to
what's
keep.
really relevant with Stoke the Flames is that you your Mantis Riders can tap after attacking.
Oh, they
So
can.
even if you're stuck in land. Yeah, so this deck your deck operates so well on three lands. It doesn't need more than that because you can just play Mantis Rider. You can Mantis Rider and Stoke the Flames.
Yep.
It's just so if you're stuck, even if you're stuck on your 3 lands, you could have still burned me out with that spell.
Yeah, that's good to know. I wasn't really playing a whole lot of Magic at this time, and I was playing kitchen table Magic, so I didn't really follow a whole lot of what was going on in the Pro Tours, and
There's quite a
and
lot.
even like dealing with some of the stuff like Convoke and seeing a lot of these interactions, the stuff I didn't see back then.
There's quite a lot of more burn in the deck than I had originally thought of because in the current standard, almost every good burn spell is just on creatures and not like there's not really like an instant spell like the lightning strike that just hits both creatures and face. And it's a completely different way of thinking about things.
Yeah. So the thing about all these burn spells deck, it doesn't matter if they're aggro decks or mid-range, just because, like you said, they had so much versatility. You could target creatures, you could target players. Also, like, Jeskai Charm had multiple modes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Stoke of Flames, you could cast for free several times in, like, aggro decks.
Yeah, I've even seen it like in aggro decks played for 0 just by convoking each and every one of their creatures.
And what's the play that I like is, especially if I have like Hordling Outburst, Stoke the Flames Mine, go turn 3 Hordling Outbursts, turn 4 Hordling Outbursts, and then I can just wait, and then the 3 goblins that I can't attack with, I can use at end of turn to throw Stoke the Flames at you for 1 mana, just using those goblins that weren't doing anything at the time.
Yeah, it's really.
So Devin, I do have a sideboard built up, but don't, would you prefer that we just run it back as main decks?
Yeah, so because I didn't have time to do one, I would prefer knots. Although,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Yeah, it might be interesting to see like which kind of sideboard cards would be good in this matchup for your deck. We might want to think about that. If you had a sideboard right now, what kind of cards would you think of bringing in against an aggro matchup?
So, I think I would have. I think I played the full four lightning strikes and Stokes. I would have definitely brought in the lightning strikes. I would have considered bringing in the other Stoke the Flames, or at least one. Wingmate Rocks would have definitely come in because those cards block your flyers.
Yeah,
Also
and
the life lane, because there's a lot of burn spells, and so that just extra few life is very important.
Yeah, Wingmate Rock would be one that I would not want to see.
yeah, and from the Jeskai deck, I'm not sure whether there are lots of cards that are good against other aggro matchup in the sideboard. I think perhaps Pression Field would be good to bring in.
Extra removal. Most of my removal is very hasty or token based, so like while you probably bring in, it's not the best against me. That's why I really like this deck. Is
Yeah, it does like
removal that was super good against it. Like you have to play instant speed removal too, because all my haste creatures and the fact that I'm just playing I'm playing a bunch of tokens too. I'm very resilient.
actually like Punishment. If you had sideboard, would you brought in the Anger of the Gods against the token builds, or would you?
Yeah, I definitely would have brought in the Angers, but there are only 2 in there, so who knows if I would have drawn them. But I definitely think that would have been a good card in the matchup.
Yeah, and perhaps the Magma Sprays could have come in as well.
Maybe to take out Seekers, but I didn't really see anything else. Well, I guess it hits Rebel Master as well.
Yeah,
It's
and
probably a little bit better than Lightning Strike.
yeah, that's the problem with it because you've already got quite a lot of good ways to deal with them, and perhaps the because probably Magma Sprays was mostly in the sideboard to deal with recursive creatures, as the one we see right now. But since you hadn't seen that yet, perhaps you wouldn't have brought in the.
Yeah, this card was very good.
Yeah.
And I was very excited because I got mine signed by Aaron Miller this weekend, finally. After forgetting to bring them to GP Minneapolis last year, I realized I didn't have this is my favorite artwork from this deck. And he was there, and I had forgotten to bring mine, and I felt very sad. So I got my playset signed this year, finally.
But I do really love Bloodsoaked Champion as well. That was also... I really like the art, and like, it's very grim.
What's even going on in here?
We are recording the Challengers episode.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that was Wolfie interrupting us for a bit, but doesn't really matter. A slow start for Punch Monkey.
Yeah, definitely. This hand is super clunky, but I think it's probably a keep. I think it's a keep.
I do think it's a keep.
It's definitely awkward.
The interesting thing about the difference in land base is that there's a lot more pain lands in the Mardu aggro deck here. Like once again we see the Battlefield Forge.
There's also more lifelink, so it's yeah, I definitely do take more pain than most decks, but it's a lot of times trivial.
And I don't know that this was the right 2-drop here, but
I think it's definitely the right 2-drop. Now, the interesting thing
I think it's fine.
Will be that like you can actually next turn during your upkeep play the Magma Jet and then Crackling Doom is of course
yikes.
a great way to push an advantage, giving the Secret away prowess and lifelink as well. meaning that it's going to be 7 damage on turn 3, whilst
I
also
remember
removing a creature.
the Jeskai black decks of
the later,
some of the later formats, but
Yeah,
that played Crackling Doom on top of all of this other good stuff that they're doing, and
yeah, because
those
that
are
one
just brutal.
that one was also playing Dragonlance Radgast, which is also one of my favorite cards. It was just so
And
awesome.
before that, actually, I think it might have been before Fate or during Fate. There was an Obzan red deck going around playing Crackling Dooms. It was just an Obzan show with like Crackling Dooms, and I don't know what else other creatures they played, but
That sounds sweet.
yeah, I almost built it at one point, and then I just decided not to, and I ended up just playing a devotion deck that my friend had.
Yeah, I'm feeling super far behind here. I'm looking at another Magma Jet on top of my library, and a land, which I desperately need. So I think I'm shipping the Jet to the bottom and keeping the land on top.
I think at this point you really need just get everything out of your way except for land and try to.
Yeah, because my hand is solid. I just need to be able to cast my spells and try to claw back into this game.
Yeah, you really need to find a way to stabilize for now and then try to bring back some lightning. Now, you have got one of the best cards in your deck for stabilizing, I think, is Mantis Rider. And it'll be interesting to see, like, you have got a choice between which cards you want to play.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, man.
Yeah, going right is often a good way to prevent someone from stabilizing. If you can find another land from the top, however, I think your position is kind of good, like an untapped land, I mean. Because then you can just play Secret away, and yeah, that's not exactly what you needed.
Yeah, it wasn't exactly what I wanted to see. I think
Still,
my only real option here is playing out the Mantis Rider.
Yep. Now, the irritating thing about Bloodstow Champion is that sometimes the best way of actually, like, it's sometimes better to block a lower power goblin creature here because that one won't be coming back constantly.
Yeah, because if you block Bloodsoaked Champion, what's going to happen is I'm going to just end up with the same amount of creature for next turn. Well, you save damage, taking that same damage, and you'll have
because it triggers its own raid. Even if you just attack with itself. So.
Oh yeah, another hasty creature here from Devon. Together with someone that is actually just a great combo here. And this is...
Yeah, you block my thing and it just gets thrown at your face.
Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, man, it seems like it's really, really hard to come from behind against this deck.
Yeah, especially with the tap lands on the... Like, if you are on the draw with tap lands, this is really not looking like the best matchup. But this is...
So here, now that Timuret is down, or Timuret, or however you pronounce it, I am going to block the Bloodsoaked Champion, because either you throw it at my face, or you bring it back, but you can't do both.
Yep.
This is like a very good point. I have to do math to see. If I do that, you could be a 4, and it would force you to kill my Timuret because I have enough lands next turn if I throw my Bloodsoak at you. Where just double activate Timuret and it would just kill you.
Right.
So where I would lose some value this turn, and not being able to get back my Bloodsoak. That is very easy, especially since I have a haste feature. I think just throwing it at you is...
Yeah, 5 damage coming in at this point is really not a good thing.
No, it is not.
I really do think you need to hit another untapped land here that won't pin you to even have a chance of winning this game at this point.
Yeah, I think you're right.
We do see an untapped land here, and
I still don't have a whole lot of good options.
I think playing Seeker here and then Magma Jet on the Timuret is probably the best play here, and then try to set up for next turn to.
Yeah, you're probably right, and I have to kill the Timuret now because if I let him untap, then I'm just dead.
Yeah, which is somewhat of a problematic. Like
Because
normally,
and doing this now makes it so that I don't get the prowess and the lifelink from the Seeker.
yeah,
I
normally,
can trigger, but I can't do anything with it.
yeah, normally you would have preferred to actually keep that Magma Jet until blockers, so that you can gain some life during blocking.
Right.
But it's just Timuret really showing off its power here by threatening lethal all on itself, all on its own.
And the scries from Magma Jet are showing me a Temple of Triumph and another Seeker. And I think I'm bottoming the land and taking the other Seeker.
You have another burn spell in your hand. That second Seeker could just close out the game really quickly.
That's true. And I'm starting to feel a little okay about the board state and my position. Still definitely behind on life, but 2 blockers to 3 attackers.
I think one of the most important things here will be whether Devin will draw a removal spell or something like another Timuret, or whether he'll actually draw
Butcher.
nothing.
I mean, like a Butcher would be huge.
Yeah.
That would probably just be game over on the spot.
Yeah. Well, any of my burn spells would have got me there. Of course, they didn't draw any. Would have.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, any lightning strike or stoke the flames or anything.
So this is interesting. Do you see what I'm scrying, or no?
I don't see what you're scrying, but
Okay, so there's a Goblin Rattle Master on top of my deck. This could be very good, but that Seeker or kind of any way to remove another Goblin. This could be or any spell would have just ended up giving him more life than he would lose.
It's interesting because actually at this point,
I'm just looking for burn spells.
Yeah, I think the best way would be to just delve into something that can actually assuredly win you the game.
Yeah, and that's why I bottomed it, and I.
Swift Spear is frightening.
Yeah. So this is the point where I don't think I attack you with everything, but do I attack you with just a Goblin to trade into Butcher or the Bloodsoaked Champion? And I think I do.
Yeah.
That is actually quite interesting thing here.
What's cool is that you can actually do this at any point. So one of the cool things you could do with like Butcher, you can sack it, and then before damage, you can like bring it back and sack it again.
And then bring it back again. Yeah. And, yeah, I think with Timuret and Butcher of the Horde, the Bloodsoaked Champion can do some real work.
Yeah, if you're trying to race like against other flyers, that is like the best way to do it. Back with a hasty lifelinker.
Yep.
It also lets you like a vigilant lifelinker too.
Yeah, and It's also interesting here whether, because you've got two Seekers, I think just not attacking with a Seeker is probably a good choice. But I have found that if I only have one lifelink guy, I sometimes just want to attack with it to make sure that I get the life so it doesn't die to a burn spell or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like in many situations that's probably correct, is like trying to attack with the Seeker and maybe cast a spell and gain some life, but at 4 life, a burn spell's not going to be hitting the Seeker, it's going to be going at my face most likely, so.
Yeah,
And unfortunately, I just drew a land, so
Yeah.
I can't do anything.
probably because you had to like rebuild from memory, you probably put in a bit more land than you did in the original build, I think. Because
This is a fair point. I think I might have played 23 lands, and I put in 24.
yeah,
Because this deck only played like up to 4 drops.
yeah, I think it might even be able to go down to 22 drops, 22 lands.
So, I think now, where I'm at, I'm pretty safe to just throw this at the face and go with the big lifelink attack.
Yeah, and I think this is where I lose the game. I think you're definitely right. I think I did end up playing like 23 lands.
But we have seen like the mechanics and everything. They're really interesting. They're really
Yeah,
Okay.
this. I do really like this deck and all the like intricate things you could do in it. It was the deck that got me kind of competitive, other than just FNM. So
yeah. I think definitely a deck I would have loved to pilot back in the day. I think back then I was also just starting out and I was like, I think I was just still on mono white weenie or something like that. Yeah, and this is one of those blocks where you're technically not yet dead, but you certainly do feel completely
yeah,
dead.
and I think the only thing that could save me is a butcher with lifelink. The play I was talking about where you lifelink haste and just hope you don't have a spell.
You did draw a butcher, so that's something.
Can't take any damage though, so do I have...
Yeah, and I actually missed lethal last turn. If I used the Mantis Rider for the Stoke the Flames, I would have had an extra mana.
Yep. I think you could take just 1 damage to get the lifelink in. But
yeah.
looking at Emerson's hand here, he has not been flooded at all, and he's... Yeah, that doesn't look like a hand you can beat. Oh yeah, you actually had enough colored sources to not take any damage at all.
Well, if I want to give it lifelink, I do.
Yeah,
And actually, now that I think about it, the wrong choice, but I've already sacked my butcher, so I have, or sacked my bloodstream champion.
yeah, you could have perhaps kept it back as a blocker and then... But
Yeah.
seeing Emerson's hand, that wouldn't have been the right play either. Because...
Yeah, I don't think there is a right play.
Yeah. There's enough burn spells in Emerson's hand to just kill you outright twice in a row. If that butcher had come like a turn earlier, I think he would have been in a far better position here than...
Yeah, I agree with that. Definitely.
Anything, Stoke the Flames or Lightning Strike would have killed you.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
You.
It's definitely like, sometimes you feel like top decking shouldn't just be top decking, but it's still, there's always a chance that you don't draw the right card on time.
Right, yeah. just like, well, half my deck kills you. Okay, let's just roll the dice and.
And then you draw a mountain, and that really feels fucked up.
Ouchie.
That doesn't.
You got me.
So definitely were some interesting games. Do you think the matchup would have changed a lot after sideboards, or?
I don't really think so.
Yeah.
Like, what would I trim? I only bring in a couple cards. Like I said, maybe another Sorin if I had it at the time. I only played the second Sorin for a little bit, but the Windmint Rocks definitely would have come in, and an extra Lightning Strike, and maybe something else. But that's about it.
Yeah, and probably you'd have to watch out for
and
Jank.
I cut a couple of the Bloodsoak. Yeah, and I cut a couple of the Bloodsoak champions. I think that's about all I cut is Bloodsoak champions, because it's not very, like, you can do a lot of cool things with that card.
But in this matchup, it doesn't really feel like it's doing the most. Right. Yep. So yeah, Emerson's laptop broke, but he'd have to go to work anyway, because we started the episode a bit later than we would normally do. But I think we can then just go on with the second match against this deck. A deck that I took was a bit later. It was from the how do you call it, Fate Reforged, that era. Did you still play this deck after Fate Reforged was released, or?
For time, I can't remember what I played in it. I do remember that I did switch to Mono Red, and I kind of I continue to play this deck at FMs and stuff, and I'm happy to play your Fate Reforged deck. But yeah, no, I as far as going to like qualifier tournaments, I did stop bringing this deck to those, and I did play Mono Red. But I was always updating, always kind of playing.
Now,
in fact,
the deck that I'm going to play is Green White Devotion. Do you remember anything about that deck?
I remember not liking that matchup at all.
Yeah.
I had like 3 or 4 sideboard cards devoted to it. Like the Archfiend of Depravity. I literally just opened one the other day. I played against it in Commander the other day, and I was just thinking about how I saw that card and I'm like, oh yeah, this thinking of this exact matchup.
Yeah, perhaps you should add those sideboard cards that you would normally bring in real quickly to your deck, so that we can actually have the sideboard match. Because
it's like build a 5-card sideboard.
Yeah. Because this might be somewhat of a one-sided game if we don't sideboard.
And I'm gonna cut a land from my deck. Oops.
Master of the Scene was a deck I didn't play myself, but one of my friends played it. And dude, it was so powerful, like the Green White Devotion deck.
What deck was this?
So it was like a deck built around Green Devotion with Nykthos Shrine to Nyx, and then the Guard Mastery of the Unseen. Just manifest your top of the library and get lots of life gain by killing creatures.
I remember when this deck came out and the mirror match in the finals. It took like 2.5 hours, an hour and a half for one game.
Yeah,
I think most of the people would just be like, "Okay, you're in a superior board state. This game's gonna take an hour to finish, but I'm just gonna concede." And matches literally were like, "Okay, it's like whoever got to a better board state, and then the opponent would just concede because you never finish a full game because of just how grindy they were. People gain 100 life."
Yeah, I think the time was really important to keep in mind when playing this deck. But it was really a brutal deck. Really good takedown games. Okay, have you finished your sideboard or?
Hold on.
I'll just set up the game.
I was just trying to figure out the name, and I wasn't sure if it was what I thought it was.
I'll just set up the game with. I'll take the same password. Normally I take something like Xmage, but it's not really any need to change it. My title has nothing to do with games, so I'm going to change it a bit. There we go. And I think that during the era like of Teros and Gans, I was still really playing the janky decks and like very budget decks. But the friend whom I was teaching to play Magic, he really went in like all in and really went competitive with his decks there.
Yeah, this was definitely the era that I was all in going to tournaments, and since then I've been playing a lot more sports, and I just graduated from high school and I have a job now, so I have not been able to play as much as I did back then.
Yeah, I think one of the periods where my friend had the most time and played the most Magic was when he had an exam period where he had said, yeah, I'm not going to take the exams, I'm just going to take half my study points back because I'm going to switch courses. And so we had like an entirety of like 4 weeks or more, even like half a month or 2 months, that he had nothing actually to do, and he just went 3 times per week to the shop to go and play Magic.
Right. Yeah. My game is kind of freezing up on me.
That sometimes happens. More technical difficulties for this episode. This is
Yeah,
this is becoming a theme.
Go. Okay.
Luckily, there's not too much.
Good in itself, but now I can't click on anything again.
Perhaps you should like open a new client that sometimes saves time.
I'm definitely trying to do that.
Yeah, I know that Xmage can sometimes really freeze up your computer because it can take quite a lot of, like even like I think my computer is fairly strong, but it can just swallow up so much resources at times that I'm wondering what the fuck are you doing?
Great.
Luckily, we don't have too much players on Google Worlds right now.
Yeah, so what's really annoying, especially during that match, is because I had to borrow a friend's, my brother's computer, I didn't have any images downloaded, and so I'm just playing off of text.
Yeah.
It's very, very annoying.
It does somewhat ruin the immersion, and like it takes a bit longer to actually know what's in your hand. I know that was sometimes difficult for me to like realize. Sometimes I kept the hand and then later realized I only had one land in hand.
Right, yeah.
I mean, that didn't happen. It was definitely a conscious keep with that one lander, but it did work out fairly well. I thought it would be more disastrous, because I'm used to one landers turning completely disastrous.
I just need to add 4 cards, or not even, like 3 or 4 cards to my deck.
And I guess it's completely stuck. I've had that as well.
It's working now.
Perhaps you can also take out land and add another card.
That's what I did.
Yeah,
I
that's
just
good.
added a fourth lightning strike.
And we'll see whether that actually improves the chances of not drawing too much land. Because one of the weird things was also that in the first game you basically had a really tough screw, and in the second game you had a flood. But that does happen. Like when the algorithm is
That
purely
kind of
wrong.
happened to me. This happened to me this weekend with the zombies deck that I was playing.
Were you playing the mono black zombies or?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, I've been playing black white zombies variant in paper now. I really like it because I like the wayward servant and stuff.
Yeah, that was the deck when I first kind of started playing Standard.
I love the fact
Oh
that
no.
it's actually one of the decks that really has. It's very aggressive, but it's still very well equipped to go into late game and have some good engines going.
Okay. But that is what I would have just for kind of this matchup.
Right. Yeah, the game is up again freeform with the password of 1234.
What's your in-game name again?
My in-game name is Arik Halda.
Oh, okay, I see it.
A player has joined the table.
Right then.
Your game has started.
Let's start match 2 of the Patreon Challengers episode, number 2.
I get to pick who goes first twice.
Yep. Now with this with this deck, I really just fancy playing it. Or one word. I really just want to play it again because
Yeah,
it's such a cool
it was
deck.
the same. I definitely played this deck online too. The deck you're playing.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
It just wasn't that much fun for the opponent, I think.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of kept a hand with somewhat of a lot of land, but I do think this deck tends to be quite rampy and needing a lot of land, so I think it's
Figure
perfectly
out.
fine.
Because I got a tap land in my hand and a 1-drop. That's the awkward thing with this deck. It is kind of forced to play a lot of tapped lands. I think I have like 9 or 10 in the deck right now.
Yeah, with the three-colored mana base, it's sometimes somewhat hard to.
Yeah, and you're trying to curve out, but you kind of. This is where the deck kind of fell apart and why a lot of people didn't end up playing it. Is because you have to play a lot of these dual lands. But the only ones available like that were good were.
Well, basically, a lot of pain lands is what we've seen from your deck.
Yeah, the pain lands then and the temples, and so. Okay, and I'm just playing my 1-drop.
Of course, fetches were a big part of the reason why Khans was so popular.
But at this time, there actually wasn't any like lands you could grab.
Yep. The shock lands, or no, I think it was the battle lands from Battle for Zendikar.
The Zendikar lands that came out later once in BFZ.
Yep.
That kind of made them so popular, and why you saw the 4-color decks so prominent.
Yeah, it was really weird to have a format where nearly every deck was kind of similar because they were all playing mostly the same
you got
colors.
the Jeskai. Yeah, it was just the decks that are playing the most good cards.
Yep.
Like Jeskai Black and
Abzan
Rally
Blue.
Nestor's deck.
Yeah. Rally Ancestor was also kind of a cool deck. Also one of those decks that's fun to play and not really fun to play against.
Yeah, that was kind of a common theme. I like the deck, but I guess that's because I played Bant Company later on. Standard.
I liked all of those decks. I even kind of liked playing against them, but
I liked how grindy games against them were. It was all tempo based, like who can be the most tempo.
yeah, Band Company with the how do you call them? Like the ones that's banned right now, the Reflector Mage. That was so brutal.
Yeah, and I played the 4-color rights deck too for a while. Oh, we get that lion.
Yeah, Fleece Main Line I play here mostly just to stall the board state a bit. I actually think that perhaps one of my other plays, which was Sylvan Caryatid, would have been better. But
Yeah, but it definitely it does allow me to attack through your Caryatid.
Yeah.
It's a very good scry.
I think
This would, if I didn't have a spell, this would have slowed me down.
Yeah.
And again, I did the thing where I should have attacked.
yeah, I don't think I would have blocked the Secret Way even if I didn't know that you had that. Simply because 2 mana open with a Secret Way attacking is usually threatening a spell. Now it is stopping the Monastery Suit Spear from attacking here, because I can still properly block that one.
Yeah.
I think if we see a Butcher of the Horde here, then I might really be in trouble.
Yeah, and I actually scried a land to the top for my butcher.
Yeah.
Which is definitely how I do win this game. It is a struggle if I can't. The paths I have to victory are kind of like Swift Spear and Seekers with a bunch of my removal, like Crackling Dooms and stuff.
Yep.
Otherwise, it's Butcher. Definitely the easier of the two ways.
Got somewhat of an interesting choice here. Because I've got a Polytranos in hand. I'm not sure I'll actually be able to deal enough damage with it to Butcher to kill it. And I think I'm just going to go for a bit grindier here with the Courser of Crucifix.
Yeah, I think that plan is fine too, because it is a block and it also lets you gain life.
Yep.
It makes the race go from 2 turns to 3 turns.
I'm going to try and ramp it up a bit more here. It does lose me a good blocker, but on the other hand,
Yeah, now if you have a Nykthos, you can make a lot of mana too.
Yep.
Do 5 devotion at this time.
Yeah, because right now we have an Elvish Foe, and Goblin Ram Master is a really good draw. That is a really good card in combination with Butcher of the Horde.
Yeah, it definitely is. You just sack the goblins to it. Now, what I'm trying to decide what mode I should use. Do I want a Vigilance guy, which is lifelink?
Yeah.
I don't know that I'm necessarily likely to block, so I just give him lifelink.
Now the interesting thing there is that you could have actually... No, I probably wouldn't have done that, because you probably don't have a 1-mana spell in your hand. But you could have attacked with everything and then stacked things that were blocked. So I think that's probably not...
Yeah, I think that's a little reckless at this stage in the game. I definitely have a turn before I kind of need to be all very that aggressive.
Yeah, this is not looking too great for me. Okay.
This is definitely the turn where I can just swing everything turn everything sideways and hope for the best.
Now this is kind of interesting because I got a Windswept Heat from Courser of Kruphix, but then I see on the top of my deck a Nykthos Shrine to mix. And I think what I'm going to do here is just not
survive.
Yeah, just not fetch and try
Especially
to.
with Void, you can make a ton of mana, and Nykthos can eat a lot of my creatures. The problem here is I have 2 extra attackers for your blockers, because Goblin Master will make an additional one.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Never mind. You'll have one extra attacker on the ground, so you would end up going to 1.
Yeah.
So if you can survive, if I don't draw anything, if you can survive, this definitely is your outs.
Yep. This is going to be somewhat of a one of the most dangerous plays I've gotten here.
It's like what's on the top of my deck.
I think I actually probably should have tapped the Voyaging Satyr to get an Elvish Mystic out on the battlefield, which I forgot to do, but because probably Voyaging Satyr is going to die in combat. Well, I think a single burn spell definitely does it here, but...
Yeah, so... I didn't draw what I needed. I drew another land. So many lands.
Yeah. Because the interesting thing is, perhaps you wouldn't have actually been a better choice to just not sack anything to the butcher of the horde right now.
Well, yeah, so I've decided that I can't just, like, swing with everything. So,
Wouldn't it actually be lethal? Because you would have had 2 more. Yeah, I
I
think
kind of missed something. I could have also just given my Butcher Vigilance. I don't think it matters. I don't think it would block anyway. You just have enough mana that everything would want to block. Couldn't. Yeah, that's the thing about Bloodsoak. Bloodsoak Champion can't block, so it's going to be a very awkward card when you're in a staring contest like this.
but now.
Ooh, Genesis Hydra. How come you didn't play your Nykthos?
Last turn I played the fetch from the top, so the Nykthos was revealed from the top after I played the fetch. So right now I did play the Nykthos trying to mix. And then...
Oh. Did.
But because you can't play before you pre-combat.
It's white and green for me for some reason, and it looked like another
So
teeth. So you can make a ton of mana right now.
yeah. So basically what I'm doing here is just say green. And then I've got 7 mana in the pool. I can untap, trying to Nykthos. Do it again. Then I can tap these 2 as well and say that I use Polychronus for 7. Right, and then now forward to the butcher. And I think 2 Goblin Raven Master. Probably that's 6 already. Now I've got the choice between Bloodsoak Champion, and I think I'm going to go for that, but up to... Yeah, I went for Bloodsoak Champion, but I could have also gone for the Soldier token here, which wouldn't have me recursive.
Because they do damage to each other. Can give it lifelink and gain 5 extra life.
Yep. Now, I don't think I need to swing here. So it's somewhat... I've got 3 blockers.
Yeah, I can just take this right on the chin.
Yeah. I think best not to attack. 34 life. It's somewhat scary because I will actually need another land to be able to gain enough life to even get somewhere. Because right now a single lightning strike will kill me as well. Yep, and lightning strike.
Okay.
What do you think what do you think are really good cards that you would bring in from sideboard?
Okay, so what I would normally have just for this matchup is Archfiend of Depravity. Because you're trying to put as many creatures into play as possible and build devotion. In this case, you can only keep 2 of those.
Yeah.
And it also means you're worse at blocking my tokens. And then I bring in just a bunch of flyers, and that's all I really had is just flyers and Archfiend, which is flyer himself. So that's what I do. Now what I take out is a different question. I'm pretty sure I just take out the Bloodsoaked Champions.
No, I haven't actually played this deck before, so it's kind of hard for me to know which cards to take out. I do feel like flying cards are going to be somewhat of a problem.
Do you play mostly Modern or Standard or whatever, or what do you
Um,
play?
Yeah, I've mostly right now I've mostly played Standard, but recently I have gone with X-Mage. I have
Your
gone
game has
more
started.
into Modern and um,
So
lots of
I still mostly play Standard, but I do play Modern occasionally, and I only play Legacy for the League.
yeah. I
So
am not at all well versed in Legacy. I'm quite. I'm starting to
I
get
don't think a
into
lot of
Modern, but
people are.
yeah. I think this is a good hand to keep. I have to keep this one.
I have to keep this one.
I've got a shrine, Nyx's Shrine to Nyx in my hand, so I'm kind of already happy. I'm going to keep that on top.
Okay, I guess I keep this.
Start one life game.
Okay, this is quite interesting. So I'm missing black, but I don't actually have any black cards in my hand, and I have a Temple of Silence, which would be my fourth land.
But it would
But I
be
almost want to bottom it, but I think I'm just my hand's good enough for right now.
that is somewhat of an interesting choice because depending on your
Yeah, it's
draw,
just like do you wanna risk it and just push it and wait until you actually need it?
because if you draw lands after you kept the Temple of
Yeah.
Silence on the top, it's somewhat of a problem because you can't really play it
And the only
immediately.
reason I didn't or I did keep it is because it was a temple.
Yeah. But if you play
That's
it now, it's also going to be somewhat problematic because it lowers the tempo in your deck.
Yep.
Let's Secret away.
Now I have a really interesting choice. So I have an untapped land and two tapped lands, and I could cast a Whirling Outburst and then attack for 3. But then next turn, I won't be able to cast my Butcher on turn 4.
Oh, so yeah, it's really
But at
like
the same time, but at the same time, if I was to play a tapped land, so I could play and then play my untapped land next turn, creatures to sack to give it haste. So I think I kind of just need to cast the Whirling Outburst this turn.
no. It's actually quite an interesting choice that I'll have as well if you attack. Because right now, I probably assume you're going to attack with a 3-3.
I
But-
am, yes.
Yeah. So I've got a Valorous stance in hand, and I am somewhat tempted to just block and then cast Valorous stance to make my creature indestructible. But I could have also kept it for Butcher of the Horde. I still think I'm going to just go for the mana efficient route here. And
Oh, and of course you can. Whoa! Completely forgot about that card. Attacked by my dog.
yeah, it's a card that actually came in from the sideboard, and mostly because
Yeah.
of the second class.
So, I actually completely forgot about this card because this card would have also come into my sideboard against you.
Yeah.
Probably would have taken the place of lightning strikes. But I only would have had like one or two.
Yeah, I drew the single card that came in from my sideboard, but this served me quite well here. And actually brought it in because of the second class rather than the first one, but I think keeping the tempo play here was the good choice.
I definitely bring in the Valorant Stance as a kill spell rather than a combat trick. But the fact, again, we were talking earlier about how a lot of like the burn spells and stuff have multiple modes. A lot of the removal spell had ultimate modes, like Valorant Stance. It could kill big creatures, but it also could just do what you just did and allow your creatures to trade. It can be used to keep your creatures alive and whatnot, which I thought was really cool.
And if you draw on that land, you're probably a bit high on land count. But
Yeah, I did draw another land.
Oh yeah, that does mean you're kind of high on land count. But if it wasn't not that land, it would have still been like half seas because you would have immediately been able to cast the Butcher of the Horde. Because right now you really can't really attack with that board state. The Goblin Realm Master coming post combat so that you don't force all your goblins to attack. I'm going to go for an Elvish Mystic. And
Six mana. What could this be?
And yep, I'm going to go for 7 mana and cast a Genesis Hydra for 5.
Brutal.
So it's a single non and
Oh, and you hit a Whisperwood Elemental. Probably the best card against me.
yeah, that's really that's going to be quite good here.
Yeah, so even though I have a Butcher, it's going to be really hard for me to race you now. I'm pumping out 2/2s every turn.
Now I'll have to figure out exactly how I know what's under a manifest token in X-Mage again, because it's been a while since I'll probably try to click on it during my turn. I think that should work.
Oh, and I just played the wrong land by mistake. I had a tapped land that I should have played. Oops.
Yeah. An interesting thing here being as well that all your goblins will be forced to attack with Goblin Realm Master. Which is not ideal on this board state.
Yeah. But I have a way to deal with that.
Ah, nice. Stoke the Flames here. Taking
Knowing
down-
with X-Mages, you have to do this, like, convoking with a lot of
yeah.
creatures is really annoying.
Yeah, because you have to click on special every single time you want to convoke a single creature.
Yeah, so I play elves in modern too. So convoking your knowing when you're tapping 8 creatures.
Yeah. Like I think for something like, how do you call it? Court of Calling, sometimes you really need a lot of creatures that you need to convoke. And that's really not a lot of
Yeah.
fun.
So now I'm trying to decide if I want to give my guy lifelink, if I should wait, and I think that I can just wait a turn.
Yeah, you won't be dead immediately.
No, not immediately, but soon.
Right, let's see. Oh wait, can't I? Not sure how I look at the card, but apparently I need to pay 1 green to switch it, so. No, let's just. Mm. I think I'm just going in here for the full attack. It's going to be somewhat hard to actually deal with that flyer.
Yes, but I think you can kind of just race right now.
Yeah. I think it will probably depend on whether I draw the right cards, because right now I drew a land. If I keep on drawing lands, I'm
Okay,
not
so
going
this
to get
was
out of here.
probably the best draw I could have had.
Second Butcher.
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, that's going to be
Especially since
completely
all of my
fine.
goblins are going to die anyway. This definitely lets me get rid of them in a reasonable manner.
Yep. And this is going to mean 10 lifelink for you flying. And I do not know how to beat that.
What
Probably should have kept.
is okay? Lifelink.
Probably should have kept the Valorant stance here.
I don't think it was the wrong play. Because you definitely pushed me up against the wall, and just drawing the second butcher was very, very good.
Yeah, it was drawing the second. The third forest was not exactly the play you want to see.
And I think I made a mistake. I bottomed a lightning strike, which realizing now that you don't have enough, you can't possibly gain enough life to be out one butcher attack and a lightning strike. So if you were able to kill one of my butchers, I could just lightning strike you to death.
Yeah, and drawing another land here really is just not going
Yeah.
to do it. These games were a lot faster than I'd expected them to be, but it definitely did show.
Like I said, if I don't draw my butchers, I have a very hard time winning this match, and I draw 2 of them in a very critical time where I had a bunch of goblin tokens that are about to die.
Yeah, and I didn't draw Mastery of the Unseen, which is kind of a big deal in this deck. Like, normal, like I was
I don't
kind
know.
of
I think a
hoping.
lot of people. Yeah, a lot of people actually cited out masteries against me because it's more if you can build a decent ground force, you don't need the late game of mastery that mastery provide. Like,
Yeah,
I was always talking to people. They would cite out at least half of them.
no, that's actually quite interesting because I thought because of all the flying that I would actually require the life gain from the Mastery of the Unseen.
I mean, that's why they didn't always cite out all of them. But if you build a big enough board and you have enough removal spells to get my flyers, it's more of a can you defeat them before they can get the flyers set up?
Yeah,
If I don't have Butcher, and you have enough ground people, you can just kill me.
that might
I think it's
actually
more important to actually.
that
I think
might
it's more
actu-
important to have removal than your masteries.
that might actually be an interesting thing that would come out of testing that I don't know because I haven't played the deck a lot.
And
But
if you
against 2 Butcher of the Hordes, that's not really going to.
yes, and the thing where mastery kind of sucks is if you don't have Nykthos, you're spending maybe a whole turn making.
Yeah,
If it is in the creatures, you'd have to wait another turn to manifest to be able to gain a life, and it just doesn't. Where if you had a removal spell, you'd be able to deal with the flying threat, or just playing another big creature to force them into blocking.
yeah, and knowing that, thinking back on that Valorous stance, I actually think that probably keeping it for a more dangerous creature like Butcher of the Horde
Right, yeah,
would have been the best play.
Because the butchers are how you lose that game.
Yeah,
Um,
thus the Grand Force, like the Grand Creature, is actually something I might not have needed to worry
Ground
about.
are very. In fact, I know in the past when I had more than 4 cards in my sideboard,
Yeah,
I would actually side out all the Bloodsoak champions and a number of the Rabble Masters, just because they weren't very good. Like that was one rare situation where they actually looked pretty good.
Yep.
Is I got to make a bunch of goblins and sack them all to Butcher, and I had the Stoke the Flames to keep them from being sent to their dooms. And
yeah, because Stoke the Flames was really big there, taking out both one of my more important creatures and then also preventing all your goblins from dying. While still getting the 1 token per turn from that you can sack to the butcher. That was kind of a big play there.
Yeah.
Quite interesting games, to be honest.
Yeah, I definitely really like this standard. There was a lot of good cards in it, but I kind of liked how, especially at this time, there was, or even before Fate, there was a lot of decks that kind of revolved around one card, and it was all about kind of getting these cards, and just like my deck, it's all about Butcher of the Horde.
This deck was all around trying to
win a lot of games.
Yeah, and my deck was really all around trying to Nykthos and Mastery of the Unseen. And I don't know, the last deck I remember from Standard was one of the most broken decks with that was one of the most broken decks in Etherworks Marvel. Did you play Marvel or did you?
I played against it plenty of times. Definitely not a fan of that deck. I know when before it became very popular. Back when it first came out, people were playing it in the Pro Tour, and it didn't do very well, and it was kind of flew under the radar, and people kind of considered it tier 2, and I was messing around with it at that point, and kind of just playing it for fun with my friends. And when we would play for hours online, and I would get tired of playing my deck, so I just switched to this Marvel deck, which I found like a lot of fun. Just kind of at the time, it was very good, and it wasn't very tuned, and it wasn't until later that they kind of figured out how to make the deck good, and then the metagame was just so open to it.
Yeah, especially because, if you had like 2 high periods of Marvel, the first was the red-green Marvel Ram, that was really good, but then the Infinite combo came, and that one just completely outcompeted Marvel.
Yeah, well, which, weirdly enough, the deck got better after you banned Emrakul. And everyone, like, it was insane how good it became after its best card was banned. I think it's just because opposing Emrakuls were just so devastating against that deck. They couldn't beat it. And ton of other decks had access to it.
Yeah, it definitely was kind of.
But Marvel still had Emrakul, which is still devastating against every other deck. So now.
You mean
it has
Ulamog?
The trump card that no other deck had.
Yeah, you mean Ulamog, because Emrakul was the one that was banned.
Yeah. Ulamog, yeah. What was I saying?
You said Emrakul again, so it's something that sometimes happens. You're talking about talking about one card being banned and one card being left, and you say the one card being left has the same name as the one being banned.
Yeah, Ulamog.
But it was really interesting. Like, but it was kind of tiring that in the last meta, once again, there was one deck that was really predominant. And I think one of the things I liked most about this standard, I like the standard that we played right now, was that it had lots of decks built around one card. So it wasn't just one predominant deck.
And it wasn't like in some matchups, like in this particular matchup, Butcher was everything, but it didn't necessarily need to be like. Yeah, it was still probably my best card on the deck, but
in the previous matchup, for example, we had a lot less that Butcher was that important.
We're in Marvel, like Marvel's everything in every matchup. If you can't find Marvel, you have a hard time winning. I mean they can win, but it's not easy.
They did have to hardcast Ulamog or before hardcast Emrakul, which was a bit easier, but still like very hard to do. And I do like that more about this deck, is that there was a center card, but you didn't really need the card to do the strategy because.
And the devotion strategy was kind of before then, and like you could actually still build a fair deck without mastery or Nykthos. Like Green Ramp was still a good thing on its own, and while these cards are very important to the deck and the strategy, you still have a good base. And I think that's where my deck, without Butcher, it's not nearly as good, but it still had a good aggressive base. And same thing with the Jessica deck that we saw earlier. Without Mantis Rider, which is kind of the reason to build the deck, there's still plenty of burn spells and plenty of creatures that make the deck very good. That if you don't draw Mantis Rider, you're still going to have a good game, and you're still going to be able to win.
But there were really lots of cards that were just like, oh my god, this is so cool. I really want to build a deck around this. I mean, that's...
Great Siege Rhino, Mantis Rider, Mastery, like all these cards. You could spend hours talking about all the cool cards that were played in Standard that you could build around.
Yeah, I also really like Timonet in your deck. Like, all the little combos between your cards and Timonet was really cool to see, actually, in an aggro deck.
Yeah, that's why I still, to this day, love it. Like, all the little synergies you can do in the intricate pieces.
Now you have that a bit as well in the current Zombies deck. Is that the reason why you're playing that now? Because of the little combos?
If it was a choice that I made consciously myself, no. But it's probably why it appealed to me, why it kind of stood out, is because of all the intricate things, all the aggressive creatures kind of are little synergies with each other, and like Crypt Breaker is just this really powerful card. Yeah, and it also like can make your whatever it's called, the Diagraph Glosses bigger by making zombies do it by doing what it wants to do. and like all these kind of cool lines of play that they're like. It isn't just like a mono red deck where you just play creatures and attack. There's so many different kind of ways to do it, and
one of the most fun cards I find that has like multiple purposes is Lord Curse. It's bumping your team. It's a big zombie, but it can also give your entire team minutes, which is such a big deal in style board states.
No, definitely Lord of the Curse is a good card. But again, I just liked how if you look at a zombies player and you look at someone else who's playing zombies, you can clearly tell that they have two different styles. Whereas like mono red, it's harder to tell the two styles of players. There's so many more lines of play to you in an aggro deck, and so many things you can do and choices to be made. Every card has multiple choices you can use on it. It allows you to play how you want and kind of play. It allows you to express yourself as a competitive player too, or like the choices you make.
Often, like whether they immediately play, immediately use the Crypt Breaker to draw, or they still attack, is kind of more to how they play.
I know a lot of people are like, well, I can deal 3 damage to you, but now I'm just going to sit back and draw a card. And I'm like, well, I can't ever. You can definitely kind of tell, like, that's a choice a lot of people make. And I'm always the one who just attacks. I think that makes a very interesting choice where it's just not, this is how you should do it.
Yeah,
there's
not like there's
both lines of play.
It's not like there's the most efficient play. There's just different kinds of play that create different.
Yeah, different lines.
Yeah.
I definitely like that when you have a deck that mono black zombies. It plays a bunch of zombies and creatures. You think it's very linear, but it isn't. And there's so many ways to go about the game.
Yeah, because it's actually funny that I am the one who kind of does the other thing. I am the one who usually just draws instead of dealing damage.
You're also playing the white black zombies.
Yeah, which has a bit more reach and like is a bit more late game, I guess.
But still, like I had a friend who went to the GP with. He played that deck. He played white black zombies, and he was the one who would always attack, where you would have 3 powers of creatures that he could attack with, and he would decide to draw and kind of wait until he get his lords and his Liliana's masteries into play.
And I think like I've played black-white zombies on game day. One of the most interesting matchups where you decide whether to draw or to attack is against Ramanap Red, where actually attacking is like, you don't really want to do that because you want to keep blockers, but paying a life to draw a card suddenly becomes quite a high cost. So it's kind of interesting to see when you stop drawing,
especially when they're out to beat you, because they have a hard time attacking through all your zombies, is to burn you out. I want creatures, but I already have the advantage on the ground, so giving that extra point can be very...
Yeah, it can be
very worrisome for you. And have, in testing, decided not to draw when it was clearly had the chance, and it almost would have been a good idea, but I was so afraid of getting burnt out.
Yeah, and I think I'm not sure, but like at times I kind of like too much on Wayward Servant to gain me some life after a draw, and then that Wayward Servant died because of a collective defiance. I think like burning it down, doing all 3 damage to me, and suddenly I was like, "Fuck, this is really bad for me right now."
I wish I got to play more mono red in the GP. It was a very fun match, and what sucks is that in all the testing that I've done for this tournament, and I didn't get to play any matches the week before, but I had done a lot prior to that. And I think I at least played 60 matches with the Mono Black Zombies deck, at least, and I think I've only ever played the Mirror once before this tournament. And my last match of day 2 that I played in before I dropped was against zombies, and I just felt awful because my sideboard sucked against zombies. I didn't know how to play, and but it's a very fun matchup, and it's a matchup I would love to play more, just because it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of interesting choices.
Yeah, I think that's I kind of like the mirror match as well. I haven't played it as much either because I don't think zombies is that popular right now. But it is a very interesting matchup where you have lots of different choices to make.
Yeah. What's another fun match, and it's probably the harder one, the hardest match, is the Green Black Delirium deck
Yeah, because
with One Constrictor.
it's actually I've only faced one black green deck and I won against it, but that was because he was screwed and like then flooded. And or the first game he didn't have delirium, and the second game he had delirium but nothing to play because he had was screwed or something. And that was kind of like, okay, this is an easy win. And I did hear from others that zombies is good against black green, but it's I
Disagree. It's
Yeah,
very tough. If they can get what they want to get going, they're gonna beat you.
yeah, it's definitely
Actually, the Delirium shells is better for you. The energy variants, which sadly more people, or luckily, I mean, more people were playing Delirium at the GP than they were in the energy build, playing like Winding Constrictor or the Cat.
yeah, Long Tusk Cup and probably Glint
Yeah,
Sleep
thank you.
Siphoner as well.
Like, they were much better. I gotta go soon, but
Yeah,
I had a match in my first round of day 2. Game 1, I barely squeaked it out. It was a very tough and grindy game, and I only won because I drew the 3rd Dark Salvation, and I think I did it for X equals 3 to make a ton of zombies.
yeah, Dark
And
Salvation.
I barely won the game.
Dark Salvation
Then
being
the
a
second
great
game,
card.
it's so good. The third game, I won by playing 3 Liliana's Masteries in a row. Just turn 5.
Holy shit.
Liliana's Mastery, turn 6. Going turn 7, Liliana's Mastery, attack you for 25 is probably the greatest feeling ever. It was...
Yeah, that is kind of impressive. Well, it was fun
Yeah,
having
it
you.
is. Yeah,
And
thanks. Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun.
yeah, were some great games, and that's it for the second episode of the Patreon Challenger series. Have a good day.
See ya.
Yeah.